Okay, so the poll that we did on my post, you might not have seen it, you might have done. So I didn't know whether to do the double house card or the diagonal centre pop-out card, but the overwhelming vote was for this one, the diagonal centre pop-out card, which is quite adventurous for a live stream when I have no brain cell and can't stop and get rid of all my mistakes like I do with a video. But that's what we're going to do. So the papers that I used for this card were the Rosa Studio ones, I believe. So this is the card we're going to do today. I'm hoping it's going to go okay. When I made this one, I made a few mistakes. So yeah, I haven't cut anything out yet, sentiment-wise, for the card I'm making, apart from obviously the flower. Oh, that's the other thing. So the Peony Perfection digital kit, it comes with 1 page of cutout bit. So you're going to need 2 pieces of base card that are 7 by 10. Okay, and so on one of them, now this is really thin, and I'm not sure how well this is actually going to work because it's kind of like it's verging on paper, if I'm honest. It's about a 180, I think. It's not very thick at all. So we'll see. We might come a cropper. Hopefully we won't. One of them, you just need to score halfway at 5. So you're making a 5 by 7 card blank. So if you have a 5 by 7 card blank that you want to use, you could use that. But obviously, if you want to go coloured like I am, then you will need to make it yourself. So that's the first one. Then on the other piece of not 5 by 7, the other piece of 7 by 10, you're going to score at 2.5 and at 5 and at 7.5. Okay, so that is all of the scoring done. And then what we're going to do is on this one, we are going to, again, just fold it in half like it's a card blank. And then these 2 pieces here also, so it's literally mountain folds all the way around. So that's what you should end up with. So with it shut like that, what we're going to do is, this is my folded edge, this is my cut edge. So we need to get a pencil and a ruler. And up the folded edge, we are going, this is the one that you've done into quarters. Up the folded edge, you're going to mark at 4 inches from the bottom. So from the bottom up, 4 inches, which is there. And then you can do this on a guillotine, because my guillotine is off camera and it's got fingers on top of it. I'm going to use a cutting mat, and I'm going to use a craft knife or standing knife. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to cut. So there's my mark on the crease on the folded edge. We're going to cut from the top left-hand corner right down to that mark on the right, and we're just going to cut that whole section off. Okay, so you should end up with that, which looks very odd. This is a spare piece. You don't need this piece. If you want to do something with it, you can, but you don't need it. This one, you want to have it like a normal card blank. So your score edge is on the left, and you're going to measure up the cut edge this time, 4 inches. So you're going to measure up here 4 inches and make a little mark. And then get your craft knife, or with a guillotine you can do it, and you're going to cut from the top left hand corner where your score line is down to the right hand side, which is where your cut edge is, like that. So you'll end up with 2 little triangles, and again, you do what you want with those. If you want to use them, you can. If not, that's fine. And so you should end up with that. That's your card shape. So I'm going to use the heart shape again, just because it's quite a nice shape. You could use whatever you want. You could use oval, whatever. So on this piece here, I want to cut a heart shape aperture here, but I need to remember that if I'm going to do a frame as well, so on this one, I didn't do it with a matte frame and a pattern frame. I just literally did it with the base card, and then you're straight into the pattern. So if you want to do it like that, you can, but it's a lot of, you end up with not very much pattern left. That's the only thing I would say. So just be careful with that. So I want a die that is kind of that size. And I'd quite like the stitch edge one, if I'm honest, if it'll fit, but I don't know if it will. One thing you have to remember is whatever you go for your aperture, if you're planning on a frame, you need to make sure that your frame die will fit. Yeah, that will fit. Okay, cool. Right, so I'm going to go with those two then. They're going to be, so that's going to be my aperture die. That's going to be my frame die. And then we'll leave the little one because the little one's a little bit too small. So we want to cut the smallest one, the smallest heart, out of here. Now, if you've got an A5 machine like this one is, if you've got A4, it doesn't really matter. You could put this into your machine, nice and flat like that. Whack it on your A4 plate and run it through. However, I'm using an A5 machine, and I understand that quite a few people have A5 machines. So, in order to tackle that, what you can do is there are different ways you can do it. You can put it on and then just bend these back on themselves. Now, if you do that, you will end up with an indentation on them, but you are going to cover them. So you can get away with that. And I think that's what I'm going to do. The other way to do it is just to lay it on, draw around it and use it that way. But I think I'm going to do it this way. So I'm going to get a bit of low tack tape. If anybody has any other suggestions of how you could do this on an A5, please let me know in the comments. I'm going to get a little bit of tape, make sure that my center runs, my crease line there runs straight through the middle of the heart. I'm going to stick this on to make sure the tape only sticks on the heart and not on the outside, just in case it decides to tear it, because it's just quite fibrous. I'm going to put that on like that, and then I'm going to get these and whack these over the top. Now, as I said, I will end up with an indentation, but I'm not that bothered because I am going to be covering it up. So it's not the end of the world. It's only the end of the world if it cuts through, but it hasn't, so that's good. So as you can see, I've got an indentation, but it doesn't matter because, as I said, I'm going to be covering that up anyway. It's not that bad. And then we've nicely cut out the middle of our aperture. So now we're going to move on to the mats and layers because we need to stick a couple together before we can then do these panels here. I'm just going to fold these back the way they should be, which is this way. Oops, try not to crease that the wrong way. Fold that like that. I'm not going to stick this into the card yet because I want to get my mats and layers done first. I'll move that up there. Right, so you are going to need, for your mats and layers, if you want to, you can make yourself a couple of templates, and I have done that. So I've actually made myself some templates, which makes it easy. If you're going to make it again, it makes it easier. But I will show you how I've done it, obviously, and I'm going to do them on here, measure them out properly on here. But yeah, so what you need is, and I will quickly show you now. In the instructions, so in the description below, I've put all the measurements in, and for the, I think it was for the patterns, instead of doing it how I've written it down in my book, I've actually done it as separate pieces. So what I mean by that is, let me bring my little book in, and I apologize for my writing. You know my writing's not neat. So I don't know if you can see this. So this is a little diagram. So if you want to, you can just cut out rectangles. So for example, imagine this cream one is a rectangle, and then just cut the corner triangle off. If you want to, you can do that, and that's how we are going to be doing it. But if you want to, and you're using a all-round, no way up pattern, doesn't have a right way up, you can do it whichever way up you want to. So what you can do is, you can actually, if you imagine those two pieces together like that, imagine the cream ones together like this, you can cut out one long strip and then just measure down 3.5 and down 4 3/4 and cut across, and that will leave you with 6 3/8 and 5 1/8. So you can do that. Mine had a right way up, so I'm not doing it that way. And it's simpler if you just do it as rectangles rather than doing it this way. But if you want to save paper, you can do it this way. Okay, so just putting it out there in case you need to know. Right. But we're not going to do, I am doing my mats like that, but not my patterns. So my mats, let's start with the big ones. So the big ones need to be, you need two pieces that are 4 3/4 by 6.5. This may change, but this is what I've found has worked. Right, so on one of your, well, both of your pieces, you're going to measure up the right hand side, 3 3/4, make a little mark. What I would do is put your two pieces together and cut them together. So then we are going to cut from the top left hand corner down to that mark on the right hand side, which is 3 3/4 of the way up. Okay, so this one will fit on here, and again, like I said, it doesn't quite, it's a bit of a weird angle, that is, but anyway, it's a little bit wide as well. You might want to make it a bit less wide. Just have a go yourself, I would, because if you're just marginally out with your main base card cut, that can then throw out all of your measurements for your mat and your pattern. The other thing as well you can do is just lay your base on top of your mat and just draw down the edge. I'm going to go with that. It's not perfect, but I'm going with it. So that's going to go on the front, and then on the back here, that is where this one's going to go. This one's going to go on the back like that, and obviously stamp your greeting. If you want to have a mat, this is actually my mat piece, but if you're using white as a mat, then this can be your white piece to write on. I am literally going to do that. If you want a white piece as well, you just cut it how you're going to cut the pattern piece. So I'm going to go ahead and stick these on. Okay, and then on the front for the pattern, and you also need a white piece as well for the back if you haven't got a white mat. You need a piece, and again, if you want to change this, you can. I've cut mine so that it's 4.5 by 6, which looks like it should be fine. That looks fine. And what I'm going to do, I have actually done it on the back. I've measured 3.5 up and then drawn a line, but I don't know. Let me just turn it around. I don't know whether that's going to be the right angle. Oh, it looks like it is. Yeah, it looks like it might be. Okay, so I think it's 3.5, and you want to make sure that that's up on, obviously, on the right side, the right hand side. So I've actually measured 3.5 up. Also, if you're using double-sided tape like I am, go ahead and put your tape on first before you cut it. You can see mine there, hopefully. And then that just makes things a whole lot easier. You haven't got to be going around corners. So you've got a triangle. You could mount that up with your other triangle if you want to. And there's your piece. So that is going to go on the front there, like that. So I'm going to head and stick that on. Right, so that's the front done. And then the back, obviously, you'd make up a white piece that's the same size as that front piece. Okay, but obviously we're not going to do that. So now we need to deal with the inside pieces that are going to go on here and also on the other side. And you will need, so I'm going to go with let's start with the mat pieces. So as I was saying before about doing that big long strip and then cutting down, that's what I've done here. So I've cut out two pieces of mat that are 2 1/4 by 10.5, and one piece that's 2 1/4 by 8 7/8. So if we start with the 8 7/8 one, you are going to measure, lie it down like this. On the 8 by 7/8 one, you are going to measure up, I'm going to say top and bottom. So along the top, you're going to measure at 3 3/4 inches. And again, I would just double check this because these might not be absolutely exact. And on the bottom, 5 1/8. And I have, as I said, I would literally just make yourself a template. Your mat pieces do need to be double-sided for this as well, because there's a piece we're going to do in a minute, which you're going to turn around. In fact, this might even be the one. So then we're going to cut between those two pieces like that. In fact, this is the one, I think. And so this is the one that's going to go on the inside. So you've got two pieces like that. But what you want to do is take one of them, turn it round, and you want to have that. In fact, is it that way around or is it the other way around? Yeah, no, like that. Okay. So you want them to be opposites. So this is why you need double-sided. Then, with the two pieces that are 10.5 inches long by 2 1/4, you're going to measure along the top of both of them. We'll do one by one. You're going to measure and mark at 3 3/4 along here. And then on the bottom, you're going to measure again at 5 1/8. So 5 1/8 here. And do the same here. And then we're going to cut, and you will notice one of them is longer than the other one. And that is because then you can get 2 of your panels out of one piece. So that's going across like that. And then this is from that mark to that mark. Like that. And again, your angles might not be bang on, but they're going to be close enough. Okay, so you're left with that. So as you probably realise, these two are the same as these, and these two are slightly bigger. I'm not going to put them into place just yet, because we need to, because that's the other thing, this needs turning around. So you just need to make sure that you are double-sided card. Just makes it easier. Okay, we can sort out all our layers in a minute. Now, patterns, you have to be a bit more careful with patterns because you're going to have to cut one way and one the other way. So as I said, I'm doing mine as panels because I've got, you see how my pattern all matches up, and I really wanted it to all match up, and it's got a right way up as well. So for that reason, I am not going to do it how we've just done the mats. I'm going to do them as individual panels. I just think it's easier to get your brain around because it is a bit of a, if you're not good with triangles, which I'm not, then it's just easier. So the base card here, I need to stick this in first. So what I'm going to do is fold it back down to be a card blank. Let's open this up, and we're going to put wet glue on this piece here. Okay, so that's on like that, and I'm going to put that into that center fold there, and I'm going to shut the card onto it and stick it down. Just going to open it up, make sure it's nicely in the center there and lined up. There we go. If you have a little bit over like I have here, you can just trim it off, it's fine. And then we're going to do the same on this side. And then we're going to shut this side onto it. Make sure you shut the card onto it. Any little overlaps like that bit there, you can trim off, so it's not the end of the world. Just make sure your little glue excess doesn't go everywhere. So that's your basic of your card. So once you've stuck that down, I've got a bit of a gap there, but it's fine. It's not too bad. Let's just ease that in like that. There we go. So basically, your two big white pieces that you had, one's going to go in there, and one is going to go in here. Okay, and obviously you're going to have patterns on that. These, one is going to go here, one is going to go here, and then you've got two in the middle. But we need to cut an aperture out. But we can't do that until we've stuck the pattern on the front. Okay, so that's where all your mats are going. Okay, just so you can see the location of them. Right, let's put that there like that. And then what I'm going to do, as I said, if you want to, you can measure up this side. I think it's 3.5, I think is the measurement. But as I said, I would, yeah, it's a bit low. I would just leave it into place and then just leave it in place and then just kind of eye it up. That's what I would do. Or make a little template like I have done and do it that way. Okay, and what you can do, because these two are the same, no, sorry, these two are the same, what you can do is you can actually put them together like that and then cut, and then you'll have the same angle. And again, I would put your tape on the back. I've already drawn the mark on here, so I'm just going to go. Okay, I'm going to hold the two together, and I am going to cut them with scissors. This could go horribly wrong, but we will see. So one there, one there. And the same with this one. So turn that over, and again, I've already pre-drawn my lines. So I'm going to go ahead and stick these down, just so then they're down and done. Right, before we start die cutting, let's deal with the two back pieces. Right, so your two pattern pieces here are 2 inches by 6 3/8. And again, put tape on the back. I've already marked them. I'm just going to double check that they are right, and they are. So you're measuring up here 5 1/8. So on the edge, you're measuring up 5 1/8 from the bottom and then cutting across. Right, so again, I'm going to put them pattern to pattern. I've already put double-sided tape on, makes it easier. And I'm now just going to cut through the whole lot. Again, I would normally use my guillotine for this, not scissors, but anywho. And then they are going to go there and there. So let's bring this back in and get these in. So you're going to have one there, like that, and one in the other side. And as I said, because it's quite tricky to get it in, but if you want to, as I said, if you want to stick them on to this before you put it in, that does make things easier. Okay, so there we go. There's the inside bit. Right, so now we need to cut the heart aperture. Now, again, when I did my other one, my sample card, I laid the panels on and it was flat, so it wasn't stuck in when I did the aperture for the inside. Right, so I'm going to take the 2 centre panels. These are going to go here. Now, in order to line them up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this one on where it needs to be. I'm going to get a bit of tape ready to go. So lay this on where, so that panel needs to be about there. I'm going to get my heart. It's difficult because I can't lay it flat. If you do it before you stick it in, then you can. I'm going to put this on so it is roughly where it needs to be. And then I'm going to tape this to the inside like that. Then I'm going to bring my other panel in like that. So that's all taped into place there. I'm going to lay that underneath because now I know that's where that one needs to go. And I'm going to get this one so it's central like that. And then I'm going to tape that one, tape it on that side as well into place. So that is going to be like that. Okay, I've just moved it. So again, because this isn't flat, it makes it more complicated. So it's easy if you can do all this before you stick it all in. So you should end up with your 2 pieces ready to go. And it's important that you have that in the middle. You don't just lie it like together because it won't be right if you do it that way around. Let's just peel this off. Right, so I'm going to go ahead now and stick this down. Now, these nesting dies aren't actually 100% like, equal nest. So that's why you've got a slightly bigger bit at the top, but that's fine. I don't mind that. It looks all right. And then we're going to go ahead and stick these on the outside. So that is your main card. So you've got space on the back to right, you've got your pattern piece on the front that you just need to put a decoration on. So now we need to go ahead. I'm going to do the front bit first. So there we go. Happy flower birthday on the front. That is raised up. You can sort of see a bit of a shadow. And in real life, there's more. You can see it more so. And then we open up in the middle. And you've got your birthday wishes in the middle and your flowers there. I am inclined to do something at the top here. Some flourishy something. Just because it's quite bare. So that I might add that later. But yeah, there we go. There is our finished card. And obviously, you've got space on the back to right. Probably need to stamp your greeting before you start sticking things together. But yeah, just trying to make sure I don't, press down the thing. And as I said, if you wanted to have a white border around the frame, you could always cut a white frame out of a heart and stick that on. So yeah, go and check out my Etsy pad, as I mentioned before. And also, please don't forget to like and subscribe, leave comments at the bottom, etc., etc. But yeah, that was a bit of a challenge. Bye, everyone. Bye.